In the suburbs of Houston, in a quiet Catholic neighborhood where families tended their gardens and greeted one another at Sunday Mass, stood an old family home. It was large, built decades ago by Robert, the patriarch, and passed down through generations. The yard was wide, with fruit trees and flowers that painted the landscape with color by day. But when night fell, the garden transformed. The shadows deepened, the branches swayed like skeletal arms, and the place carried an air of dread. It was here that 12-year-old Claire lived with her family. She was the eldest of 4 children, a cautious girl by nature, easily frightened by the dark corners of her own home. Her bedroom was upstairs, overlooking the sprawling garden. And though she locked her windows each night with trembling fingers, she would often wake to find them thrown open, curtains drifting like pale hands in the breeze. At first, Claire told herself it was the wind, or perhaps she had forgotten to latch them, but the pattern repeated night after night. Terrified, she begged her younger sister to share her bed. Still, the windows opened. Finally, she pleaded with her parents to let her move to a room in the middle of the house, away from the ominous garden. They agreed, but even there, peace did not follow. Each night, sometime after midnight, Claire would jolt awake to the sound of someone calling her name. The voice was faint, distant, yet sharp enough to slice through sleep. When she sat up, the house was silent. Shadows pooled in the corners, and she knew something unseen lingered near. One summer, Claire's cousin David came to stay. He was 19, rebellious, hiding from the military draft, and needed a place to lie low. He slept in a small side room near the cafe the family ran on the ground floor. For a while, the nights were quiet. Then came the night everything changed. It was near midnight when David burst into the main house, his face pale as paper, eyes wide with terror. He collapsed into a chair, struggling to breathe, before whispering his account. He had been half asleep when he heard footsteps in the corridor outside. Slow, deliberate. He thought it was one of the family. But then he saw it, a tall shadow emerging from the bathroom. At first, it looked like a man, shoulders, arms, torso. But as it stepped closer, the truth chilled him to the core. The figure had no head. The headless apparition reached out, icy hands clamping around his wrist. He tried to scream, but the sound died in his throat. The thing leaned closer, as though peering into him with eyes it did not have. Then, just as suddenly, it let go and drifted back into the shadows. David fled, stumbling into the night, his whole body trembling. His cries woke the household. Everyone gathered, but when they searched, the hall was empty. Only silence remained. Yet this was not the first time the house had been touched by the dead. Neighbors spoke in whispers of seeing 2 shadowy figures rocking gently on the ornate swing in the garden late at night. The swing had been a gift from Claire's grandmother years ago, when her father, Robert, was still alive. He had died young, leaving behind a grief that hung in the air like fog. Some believed it was his spirit, returning to watch over the children, but not all spirits return to protect. Some are bound by sorrow, others by rage. The family's fears deepened when Claire's grandmother passed away. On the night before her burial, Claire and her younger brother sat awake, restless with grief. The air was thick and heavy, and as they stared across the dimly lit room, their eyes widened in horror. There, in the shadows, they saw it. A coffin, complete with their grandmother's portrait glowing faintly in candlelight. It appeared as if the funeral had already begun, though her body still lay in the next room. The children froze, unable to move, their breaths shallow, until the vision faded. When they told their mother, she brushed it aside as childish imagination. But the image never left them. For years, the strange occurrences persisted. Windows flung open without cause, voices whispering in the dark, shadows moving where none should be. And always, the headless figure, its presence lingering, waiting. Claire grew older, but the memories clung to her. Even as an adult, she could recall with perfect clarity the way her cousin David's voice trembled when he spoke of the headless ghost. She could still hear the sound of her name carried through the night, could still see the coffin that appeared where none should have been. The house eventually fell quiet when the family moved away, leaving it to age and crumble. The garden overgrew, swallowing the swing in tangles of vines. But the stories never died. Neighbors claimed the house was cursed, haunted by more than one restless soul. Some say, on nights when the wind howls through the fruit trees and the sky is heavy with clouds, the swing creaks under invisible weight. Others swear they've glimpsed the figure in the hall, its body intact, but its head gone, moving as though searching endlessly for what it had lost. And if you stand too close, they warn, you may feel the icy grip of its hand around your wrist, just as David did, and you may not escape so easily. That is the story of the Headless haunting, a tale of windows that open themselves, coffins that appear before their time, and a spirit forever bound to the house it once called home. If this chilling story unsettled you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to True Ghost Encounters. Your support keeps these terrifying tales alive.